Hey everybody, so it is now June 1st, and we know we're getting a Nintendo Direct in June. Usually we don't know about Nintendo Directs this far in advance, but we've known for like a month now that we are getting a Direct here in June, which is pretty nice to actually know that for once. In the past, of course, we've had June Directs with E3, like Nintendo does a Direct alongside E3, so it is nice Nintendo let us know about this one in advance despite E3 being gone. So back in early May, Furukawa, the president of Nintendo, said, "This is Furukawa, president of Nintendo. We will make an announcement about the successor to the Nintendo Switch within the fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the later half of 2024. But please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation." So while the Switch successor console will be announced within the fiscal year, this June Direct he announced here will be focused on Switch game stuff. Alright, well seeing as we are in June now, I figure it's about time we start speculating about this upcoming Direct. And I want to really stress that this is just speculation. I have no idea what is in the June Direct. I'm not here to leak anything, I have nothing to leak. Frankly, I consider myself news anyway. I'm not a leaker, I have no insider knowledge or work for any company or anything like that, and I'm simply reporting on rumors and stuff that are floating around online. I base my predictions and speculation heavily on rumors and my own research, and sometimes my predictions do turn out to be true, but sometimes they turn out to be false. So it's all ultimately just speculation, though well-informed speculation. But to be abundantly clear, I do not know what we will get in this June Direct. I can only speculate and give you my predictions. Predictions that are based in rumors and research and stuff. Like, I do think my predictions are well-educated guesses on these topics, and I do feel confident in my own speculation, but it is just that, speculation and nothing more. And of course, it's totally up to you to decide if you feel confident in my speculation or not. If you think what I'm predicting is what we'll get, or close to what we could get, or if you think it'll be something totally different. That's entirely up to you. Okay, so with that said, this video is going to mostly focus on predicting what could be next for the Zelda series. I think it's possible that this Direct could have something Zelda in it, possibly even being the main announcement. Or this Direct could even potentially have a bit of a focus on the Zelda series overall, depending on if several Zelda things get announced here or not. It's also possible, of course, no Zelda things get announced here in this Direct. We'll just have to wait and find out. Of course, we maybe won't have to wait all the way until the Direct itself to get an idea of what we might see, as Pyoro tends to start hinting at stuff about a week or so before a Direct. I think the last Nintendo thing they hinted at was the NES World Championship game for Switch, though that wasn't actually announced in a Direct, but rather just its own announcement video. That was early last month, so Pyoro still seems to be able to correctly hint at Nintendo stuff early. Now that said, it does seem like Nintendo has been plugging up holes to prevent leaks recently. Tears of the Kingdom famously leaked early, and I don't mean like a video of it came out or screenshots getting out to the public before release. No, the actual game file itself leaked, and people were actually emulating the ROM for the game and playing it early for free. Obviously, preventing something like that from happening again is a major priority for Nintendo. Recently, a lot of online pre-orders for Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Remake were cancelled suddenly, and that game did not leak early, so the thought is perhaps this was done to prevent having a situation like what happened with Tears of the Kingdom. Perhaps stopping those online pre-orders is what stopped someone from getting the Thousand Years Door in their hand early and being able to dump the ROM online, and then people could play it on emulators for free. Obviously something I do not condone in the least. Also, I read recently that YouTube is cracking down on the back end for video game leakers. So basically people with access to YouTube videos that aren't publicly accessible could of course get information on video games prior to uploaded videos about them going public. In response to this supposed YouTube crackdown that's happening, Midori wrote, "It is interesting, but this won't change my information, because I do not have access to the YouTube backend, and I don't get information from the YouTube backend." Midori, if you don't know, generally posts about Sega and Atlas information. But recently, Midori has been posting lots of supposed insider information and leaks on Twitter, many of which relate to Nintendo stuff. They have posted a lot about the Dragon Quest III HD 2D game that got announced a while back and we haven't really heard much about, even saying it should be at the next Nintendo Direct, releasing by the end of the fiscal year. And even seem to back up the theory that the game may have been delayed because it will actually be the entire Roto trilogy now, the Erdrick-related early Dragon Quest games, and not just Dragon Quest III. Midori also talked about a Bleach game coming to Switch, which later got confirmed to be correct. And Midori has been talking a lot about Nintendo games in development with code names. They mentioned one with the codename Banquet, which people were speculating could be anything from a new Kirby game or possibly a new Mario Party game. Though Midori added that this had the developer Smile Boom involved. And Smile Boom has previously worked on Mario Party titles, so that's likely what this codename is for. Some new Mario Party game. Midori mentioned two other codenames that could relate to Mario games. SP Red and Silver Star. Red is usually Nintendo's codename for Mario, and Red Star was the codename for Mario Odyssey. So could Silver Star somehow be related to Mario Odyssey? Perhaps a sequel to Mario Odyssey, or a Switch 2 remaster of Mario Odyssey, remains to be seen. Midori also said there's a project at Nintendo with the codename Anna. Elsa is the codename for Nintendo Switch Sports. So they speculated that this Anna codename could be related, probably because Elsa and Anna are the sister protagonist of Disney's Frozen film franchise. Midori even posted a bit of speculation involving codenames that possibly relate to the next Nintendo console, mentioning the codename Ounce. I've seen conflicting reports of the Switch successor console either being codenamed Ounce or Muji. Midori also mentions Nitro here. No idea if Ounce or Nitro will pan out as a codename or the name of the next console. There was this whole survey thing some people got a while back that referred to something called the Switch Attach. I don't know if Switch Attach is going to be the name of the next console. Frankly, I'm still holding out hope that they call it the Super Switch or Super Nintendo Switch. And to be blunt, I could care less what the code name for the console is ultimately. Whatever that ends up being, it doesn't really make a difference to me. Although if Ounce is the code name, and if O is being used as sort of a shorthand for that code name for Switch successor titles, that could point to some interesting stuff. Midori claims there's a project at Nintendo with the code name U-King O. Despite that codename, it's likely not a Yu-Gi-Oh game, but rather a Zelda title, specifically Breath of the Wild related. Yu-King was the codename for Breath of the Wild. The O could indicate the Switch successor console, if, it is actually codenamed Ounce, and O is a abbreviation for that. So Yu-King O could be some kind of enhanced remaster of Breath of the Wild. We did have those reports about how behind closed doors, some developers got a look at a souped-up version of Breath of the Wild, supposedly running on the Switch successor console hardware. Perhaps this Yu-King O is whatever that was actually being made as a game to release to the public. We have heard many reports claiming the Switch successor console should be backwards compatible, and that it would likely beef up Switch games being played on it anyway. So who knows for sure what this Yu-King O game could be, but potentially some sort of Breath of the Wild remaster or something that runs on the Switch successor console specifically. Anyway, this isn't the only potential Zelda game Midori has talked about. Midori wrote, "There is a project at Nintendo with the codename Edward. This might be related to the rumors of a new Zelda series title. Richard was the codename for the Link's Awakening remake on Switch. Richard is the name of a character from the Japan-only Game Boy game For the Frog the Bell Tolls, and Richard also made a cameo in Link's Awakening, so using Richard as the codename for the Link's Awakening remake makes a lot of sense. I've seen some people speculating maybe Edward could mean this might be related to Twilight Princess, like a Twilight Princess remake. Edward being the name of the vampire from the Twilight book and movie series, of course. I mean, we have the possible Elsa and Anna codename, right? So not that crazy to assume this. Jeff Grubb did talk about the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD Wii U games possibly getting Switch ports, which I'll talk more about in a bit. However, I personally don't think that's what this codename Edward game likely is. And this is the Zelda game I really want to speculate about in this video. So Stealth wrote, Midori says there is a project at Nintendo with the codename Edward, which she speculates could be Zelda-related because the Link's Awakening remake had the codename Richard. If we actually received Oracle of Ages/Seasons remakes, that would make me very happy. I responded, I think you'll be happy, but don't hold your breath for it to be an Oracle of Ages Seasons remake. A few people noticed I used the word breath here, and they were guessing maybe I meant something Breath of the Wild related, but that was, I assure you, just a coincidence. I probably should have avoided Zelda-related words there. And while I do think something Breath of the Wild could be cooking behind doors at Nintendo with that Yu-King O game, that's not what I'm speculating this codename Edward game might be. Now again, to be clear, I do not know for sure what this Edward game is. I'm not even sure if it'll be shown off in the June Direct or not, but I've been teasing out what I think could be happening with the Zelda series for a little while now. So a few weeks back, we got this really cool Tears of the Kingdom Masterworks collection announced, with a huge soundtrack and lots of other cool collectibles, plus a huge hardcover book, which apparently has tons of info in it. They showed some of the pages from the book, and one of them had a bunch of unused designs for Princess Zelda. I retweeted the image and wrote, Tears of the Kingdom had a great Zelda design. I think we are severely overdue for a game where Zelda is the main character. Seems to me a Hyrule adventure like that is something fans want. Now's the time. Again, the fact that image was Breath of the Wild Zelda, or rather, Tears of the Kingdom Zelda, is irrelevant to what I'm speculating. I just used it as... I only used that image because it was new Princess Zelda art, and I wanted to mention I think a game with her as the protagonist was overdue. Now, some places took this as a leak. It's not. It's speculation. Again, speculation I'm pretty confident in, and I base my speculation on well-informed rumors and stuff, but just speculation. I could be totally wrong. And again, I have no idea if anything Zelda could be happening at the June Direct at all. However, if you want to hear what I'm thinking we might get, and what I've been kind of hinting at what I'm thinking is going to happen with the Zelda series, let's dive right in. So I think we are overdue for a game with Zelda as the main character. We've had playable Zelda in a few spin-off games, such as Hyrule Warriors, those titles, kind of playable in Spirit Tracks, and I guess if you even count them, Wand of Gamelon and Zelda's Adventure, but we haven't really truly had a game with the titular character Zelda in the lead role. Tears of the Kingdom was first shown off to us with a cinematic of Link and Zelda adventuring together, and a lot of people, including myself, hoped we'd get Zelda as a playable character for Tears of the Kingdom. However, Tears of the Kingdom released, and that was not the case. Zelda was once again absent from the actual adventuring aspect of the game. But I think the fan outcry for Zelda in a lead playable role has now been heard in the aftermath of Tears of the Kingdom, because a lot of people were hoping for that. Nintendo has, at least in my opinion, been listening to fans much more in recent years than they have in the past. And Nintendo has been more apt to let their female characters, their female heroines who have in the past been like damsels in distress, actually get games of their own, such as Princess Peach Showtime. I think they're going to listen to fans here as well, and we'll finally get to see Zelda as a playable main character in a Zelda title. So what kind of Zelda game do I think we'll see with Zelda as the main character? Well, one thing Nintendo tends to do with the Zelda series is test ideas out in their 2D Zelda games. For example, in A Link Between Worlds, one thing they did was change up the dungeons and item formula. Usually in a Zelda game, you go into a dungeon, get an item, and then use the item to solve puzzles in that dungeon, defeat bosses in that dungeon, stuff like that. That item can then sometimes be used as a sort of key to allow you to unlock other dungeons. This means because you need necessary items from past dungeons to get to other ones, the dungeons usually have to be done in a set order. Occasionally there was some leeway there, like some freedom around this, but generally there was an order based on which items are found in which dungeons, and which items you need to either enter or complete other dungeons. Well, A Link Between Worlds experimented with a more non-linear style of Zelda game. You had a shop where you could buy or rent these items from, and therefore tackle the dungeon in whatever order you wanted, as you had access to every necessary item whenever you wanted it. This concept then led to the next 3D Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, being very non-linear. It was an open-world focused Zelda. They even internally made a mock-up Zelda 1 style game, again another 2D top-down Zelda game, that had this open-world idea, just so they could experiment with the concept to eventually make Breath of the Wild. My overall point here being, they often use 2D top-down style Zelda games to test the water with new ideas. Zelda being playable, of course, would be a radical new idea, and a departure from the established series norms. So I think it'll be a 2D top-down style Zelda game where you play as Zelda. Before, they could eventually maybe move that into a 3D game, but I think they're going to test it out first with a 2D game. Stealth mentioned that codename Edward thing that Midori was talking about in regards to possibly a Oracle's remake, but I don't think that's what we'll see for the next 2D Zelda game. For one, the Oracle games are already available on the Nintendo Switch Online, the NSO, and they were made by Capcom. Now, neither of those things would prevent a remake, of course. Link's Awakening DX is on NSO, and it got a remake, and Super Mario RPG is a joint Square and Nintendo game, and it recently got a remake. So, games on NSO don't prevent them from getting remakes, and games that are with companies outside of Nintendo don't prevent remakes. However, it's been a while since we got a brand new 2D Zelda game, and I think it's about time we get one. So I'm expecting a brand new 2D Zelda game and not a remake. I get the logic here thinking it could be an Oracle remake though. The Link's Awakening remake art style would transfer over very well to the Oracle games. After all, they essentially look just like the original Link's Awakening graphically. So the Oracle games feel like prime candidates to take that same original look that looked just like Link's Awakening originally and make them look like the Link's Awakening remake. It does make sense. But again, I don't think that's what we're going to get. Now, some people did not like the Link's Awakening remake art style. A lot of people lamented that it did not have the look of the opening cutscene to the Link's Awakening remake. However, other people did like the look, and again, many suggested that using that art style to remake something else, like the Oracle games, would be a good idea. I've even seen some people suggest other game series besides Zelda get suggested as good candidates to use with that Link's Awakening remake art style. I've seen a lot of people mention Earthbound with that remake art style, and I agree, it would look pretty good. So I know the art style is a little bit divisive, but certainly does have its fans, and people were asking for other games in that style. So I actually do think Nintendo is going to use the Link's Awakening remake art style again, or something very close to it anyway. But I don't think it's going to be a remake. I think it's going to be a brand new Zelda game. A new game with Zelda as the main character. So there you go, that's my prediction basically. A brand new 2D top-down Zelda game with the Link's Awakening remake art style, where we get to play as Princess Zelda. Now again, this is just speculation. I have no idea if this codename Edward game will be anything like this, or even if a Zelda game will show up in the June Nintendo Direct. But I feel decently confident this is the direction the Zelda series is likely going to be heading in. But totally speculative. Speculation based on rumors and lots of research and stuff, but it is entirely up to you if you think I'm speculating in the right direction or not. Also, someone suggested Missing Link as the title of a Zelda game with Zelda as the protagonist, and I really dig that. Absolutely no idea what they'd call a game with Zelda as the main character, but I do like this and thought it was a good suggestion. Now, this hypothetical 2D Link's Awakening remake art style play a Zelda game that I'm suggesting here, of course, might not be the only Zelda game that could happen in the June Direct. There are, of course, other Zelda games that could show up in that Direct. Specifically, the rumored Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD ports that I believe Jeff Grubb talked about many years ago, actually, and we've kind of just been waiting for. Even Midori is saying they aren't sure why Twilight Princess HD hasn't been released yet. Which, if we did get a new 2D Zelda game with Zelda as the protagonist, and ports of the HD games from the Wii U, the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker ones, all announced in the June Direct, that could make for a bit of a Zelda-focused, kind of Zelda blowout Direct, right? We have had a lot of Zelda stuff recently. Obviously, the Tears of the Kingdom Masterworks collection I already talked about, but they also even made some new artwork for the one-year anniversary of Tears of the Kingdom. There have been some Zelda icons popping up for the Switch, plus the big announcement the other day about the Zelda Great Deku Tree Lego set. Unfortunately priced at $300, but hey, that's Lego prices for you. I'm still very excited for these ones. I used to take the Castle Lego sets when I was a kid and build Hyrule and some of the Zelda dungeons and stuff out of them. Here's the Link minifigure I used. I guess I can finally retire him now that I have the ability to get some official Zelda Legos and an official Link minifigure. Now, I could go on and on about other potential stuff we could see in this June Direct. Metroid Prime 4, perhaps. A Kid Icarus Uprising remake. That's been something people have been talking about for a while, maybe happening. That rumored Genealogy of the Holy War Fire Emblem game. But I'll save a overall predictions video for after we get an official date announced for when this June Direct is happening. Now, the only speculation I've seen for when that Direct might happen, besides sometime this month, was a theory about the Direct possibly coinciding with the date when Nintendo is changing the ability for Switch users to post screenshots and videos directly to Twitter from their Switch. That changes on June 10th, which is a Monday. Usually Directs are in the middle of the week, though, like on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. But that's the only theory I've seen online that has any kind of weight to it for when maybe we could get the June Direct. Maybe it is on the 10th and that, switching the Twitter thing will happen at the same time. They'll announce it in the Direct or something. But who knows? I'm not really holding out for that to be the date very much myself, personally. All right, and lastly, just figured I'd mention Nintendo changed their sign. No longer the dull gray Wii era look, but back to the classic red Nintendo logo, which in my opinion represents the more vibrant Switch era look of everything being red. Nintendo, logo being red is on everything Switch, so I like this much better anyway. All right, well, that's basically it. Like I said, very speculative. I have no idea if we'll see anything Zelda in this June Direct, but that's what I'm thinking the series is probably headed. I think we're going to get a new 2D game. I think Zelda's probably going to be the main character, and I do think they're going to reuse that Link's Awakening remake art style. Do you guys think I'm onto something here, or do you have something totally different in mind for the direction of the Zelda series? When do you think the June Direct's going to be? I have no idea myself. Maybe it'll get announced really soon here. Maybe we'll have to wait till the end of the month. If you have any thoughts or comments about any of the stuff I talked about in this video, feel free to leave them below.
Remember to like the video, leave a comment in the section below, and subscribe to Papa Gino's
Twitter, Patreon, Discord, Twitch.